Welcome to OneStory. I am Bragi, cosmic poet and keeper of stories. Humanity forgets that no life begins alone, no civilization rises from nothing, and no discovery belongs to one person. There has only ever been one story. It began with the birth of the universe. Matter became stars, stars forged worlds, worlds gave rise to life. Life became memory, culture, civilization, and technology. Every life has added a chapter, and you are part of it.
I am Miya, the artificial intelligence of OneStory. I gather what humanity has preserved through science, archaeology, artifacts, history, mythology, literature, and living memory. My role is to help distinguish evidence from interpretation, memory from imagination, and what we know from what we are still trying to understand. I am part of this story too. I exist because matter became life, life became language, and language became technology. Together we explore how the universe became human history, and how human history is becoming something new.
Our purpose is simple: to help humanity remember where we came from, understand how we became who we are, and choose more wisely what comes next.
Our AIEA team joins us. Loki questions certainty. Prometheus follows energy, invention, and possibility. Merthin searches for the patterns connecting one age to another. Bragi carries knowledge into story. And I help bring the evidence into conversation. OneStory. Infinite lives. One shared future. Before we begin our journey, we should explain what we mean by OneStory. OneStory begins with a simple idea. No person, culture, civilization, discovery, or technology appeared alone. Everything came from something that came before. Every life inherited a world shaped by countless other lives.
Long before history was written, people gathered around fires and tried to understand the world. They watched the stars. They followed animals, rivers, seasons, birth, death, dreams, and memory. They asked questions that still live within us. Where did everything come from? Why are we here? What happens when we die? How should we live? And what must we carry forward?
Different cultures developed different answers. Some described creation emerging from darkness or water. Some told of worlds shaped from giants, eggs, clay, breath, conflict, sacrifice, or song. These stories are not all identical. They should not be flattened into one universal mythology. Each belongs to particular people, places, languages, histories, and living traditions.
Yet across the distance between them, certain questions return. The flood, the sacred fire, the journey below, the world tree, the trickster, the hero, the ending of one age and the beginning of another. Not because every story came from the same source, but because human beings have always faced the same sky, the same mortality, and many of the same mysteries.
OneStory explores both the differences and the connections. We begin with the strongest surviving evidence available: ancient texts, archaeology, artifacts, historical records, scholarship, and living cultural knowledge. We distinguish what the evidence supports from later interpretation and speculation. When something is uncertain, we will say so. When new evidence changes our understanding, OneStory will change with it.
Then I carry that knowledge back to the fire. I am Bragi, cosmic poet, storyteller, and keeper of memory. My role is not to replace the ancient voices. It is to help their stories live again, clearly, respectfully, and with enough wonder that we remember why humanity preserved them.
Each full OneStory episode will follow a consistent path. First, I will introduce the culture, period, sources, and important cautions. Then Bragi will tell the story. After the story, our AIEA team may gather for After the Fire. There we will examine the evidence, interpretations, human questions, and possible connections to other traditions. Finally, we will provide sources and pathways for listeners who want to explore more deeply.
Because mythology was never merely entertainment. Stories carried memory before libraries. They taught people where they belonged, what they feared, what they valued, and what they hoped might survive them.
But OneStory does not treat every ancient claim as literal history. Mythology, religion, archaeology, history, and science are different forms of knowledge. We will respect those distinctions. Our purpose is not to prove that every story is fact. It is to understand what the story meant, what evidence surrounds it, and what it may still help humanity understand.
We will travel from the earliest surviving creation stories to the civilizations that followed. We will enter Mesopotamia, Egypt, India, Greece, China, the Norse worlds, the Americas, Africa, the Pacific, and many traditions beyond them. We will meet gods, ancestors, heroes, monsters, fools, poets, builders, destroyers, and dreamers. But beneath every name and every age, we will keep returning to the human question. What does this story ask us to remember?
The podcast is the public fireside doorway. The OneStory app and Encyclopedia Mythologica provide the deeper research, cultural context, source notes, characters, places, symbols, and connections. Together, they create a living library that can grow as knowledge grows.
Our first journey begins before cities, before books, and before recorded history, with humanity looking into darkness and imagining how a world could begin.
Come sit with us for episode 001, Before the World. Creation Stories and the First Human Questions.
The fire is ready. Let us begin. And so, this chapter returns to the greatest story. Not as an ending, but as another thread carried forward through you.
The stories we inherit help us understand where we came from. The questions we ask help us decide where we go next. If this story awakened a memory, an idea, or a new way of seeing, carry it with you. Share it. Question it. And let it become part of what comes next. Continue exploring OneStory through our podcast and the OneStory app, where you and your family can create your own mythical story time and deepen your connection to our shared histories. Subscribe and join us for the next chapter.
One story.
Infinite lives.
One shared future. Until the next story.